Tom Brady no longer a New England Patriot. It's going to be weird to call him the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, no matter how long he stays in Tampa Bay. Let's bring in Adam Rank from the NFL Network to help talk about this and all the quarterback news has kind of come out over the last 48 hours or so. Adam, TB12 to TB, the branding seems perfect. Is the match between quarterback and offensive weapons there as well?
Well, I believe that he's going to have to spend a little bit of money to get that number 12 from Chris Godwin. That was one of the first things that came to mind for me, and it feels like Chris Godwin's going to get an awful lot more money from Tom Brady than the Houston Texans got for DeAndre Hopkins. But we can talk about that a little bit later. So I think that the one thing that probably really stood out to Tom Brady here, you can look at a lot of different things. It's on the East Coast still. There's no state income tax. There's things like that. But when you look at the available choices for him, to have an opportunity to work with a couple of receivers like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I think that really appealed to him. And we can look at his numbers and say, look, he hasn't played very well over the last couple of years, but who are his targets? Like Julian Edelman had 100 receptions, and then James White was second with 72. The third guy was Philip Dorsett, who had 29 receptions last year. So I think this is a huge upgrade for him.
Yeah, I know. My fantasy team knows all about Philip Dorsett after some bad drafting of Antonio Brown and other Patriots receivers that were supposed to be there, but were no longer there after a couple weeks. Listen, the concern with an aging quarterback is how can you make that deep throw? These receivers, like you mentioned, Godwin and Evans, they're really good at separating and creating space and then getting themselves open down the field. Is there still a belief in your eyes that Tom Brady can make those throws?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of the vertical game that Mike Evans was able to use really well. That's probably not going to be available to him, but really that would have been an issue too if they would have gone with somebody like Teddy Bridgewater. And I looked back and I sat down with some scouts and we talked about the arm strength, and he still compares favorably to some of the quarterbacks in the league. Like obviously he's not Russell Wilson or Josh Allen or somebody like that, but he can still make a lot of the throws. And I think what we'll see is just a couple of little different schemes. I think that Bruce Arians is going to work with him and just try to find what makes him comfortable and what makes it work. When I look at, I know you're talking about fantasy. I'm the same way. Like automatically, like I'm drafting Chris Godwin because I think he's going to catch 100 passes. And while the yards per attempt for Mike Evans might not be there, I think he's going to be really excellent in the red zone. And I can see him getting double-digit touchdowns. So I think that he's still going to have some ability to make some throws. They just got to adjust a little bit to make him more effective.
He goes into a division now that has 5 NFL MVPs already, and Drew Brees isn't one of those quarterbacks, by the way, and that's for now. We don't know what's going to happen with Cam Newton. How difficult will it be for Brady and the Bucs to navigate through the NFC with how great some of those teams are right now?
Yeah, I really am looking forward to that rivalry with Drew Brees. He gets to go head-to-head against him, figuratively, in 2 games. I think that's a fun new rivalry. And of course, anytime for twice, I feel bad kind of for Matt Ryan, because now twice a year he's going to have to hear about 28-3. Like that is going to be the big story. Like Matt Ryan's like, really? You couldn't have gone to any other division? And so you look at it, there's a lot of interesting dynamics there. And it will be fun to watch what happens in the NFC South. And it's fun to get kind of a new rivalry. Like when you see Phillip Rivers going to the Indianapolis Colts, he's still in the AFC. That's still kind of cool, you know. Like, all right, there's some familiarity there. But with Tom Brady, this is all brand new, and it's going to be exciting. And I think that, you know, Carolina's kind of in a rebuild mode, but I think Atlanta's going to be much better than they were last season. The Saints, obviously, one of the tops in the division, as they have been for the last couple of years. So this makes for some fun new rivalries for sure.
All right, beyond all the qualitative and quantitative analysis we could give, how weird is this going to be?
We see it, but it's like it's not unheard of. I know. Like, you see Tom Brady in a Buccaneers jersey, but we've seen a lot of the greats have to finish their careers with other teams. Joe Montana finished with the Kansas City Chiefs. That was weird. Peyton Manning with the Broncos. That was weird. Brett Favre with the Jets and the Vikings. That was weird. Jay Cutler with the Buccaneers. Okay, maybe I'm going too far, but you get the point that it happens. Like quarterbacks do not finish with their teams. And when you think about somebody like Troy Aikman, who played his entire career for one team, or Dan Marino or somebody like that, it really is kind of exceptional to do that as opposed to these guys who have to end up finding work other places.
If you're Chris Godwin, would you not just start the team chemistry by just saying, here, Tom, you can have 12 for free? Would that not benefit you on the field?
You would think so. I mean, that would be the cool thing to do. You're like, hey, you know what? I just wanted to do it. And then I wouldn't be sure, though, because you would just kind of hope that Tom would do the right thing. Be like, no. Let me take care of that for you. Let me give you some money. You're like, no. Okay, yeah, sir. Yeah. You can only deny it once. You don't want to get rid of it too much. But yeah, that would be my move. But you know what? I understand these guys. Listen, it's a payday opportunity. Tom Brady's making $30 million. He can afford to give me a couple of bucks for number 12.
All right. Between Brady, Breeze, Bridgewater, Newton, and Rivers, what was the most surprising story to you over the last 48 hours? I mean, maybe Brady is, so we'll take him out. Beyond that, what about the other four? Yeah,
the Brady thing really, over the last couple of weeks, started to gain a little bit of steam because Brady had been connected with some other teams, the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think that was ever in play. The Chargers were kind of in the mix as well. And there were some rumors, some people are trying to make the 49ers thing happen, which was never going to happen, mind you. So that was kind of a surprise over the last couple of days. Phillip Rivers going to Indianapolis was pretty much, that seemed reasonable. But the thing with Cam Newton and everything that has been happening with him, kind of, maybe we should have known better, because when Matt Rule took over a couple of weeks ago, he's like, oh, it looks like he's healthy. We would like to move forward with him. And you think if you're a team that has a former MVP and a quarterback who could help be an anchor for that franchise and kind of give some stability, you would think like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So that was one thing that kind of came out of the blue. I understand Teddy Bridgewater had a nice couple of games, but it's like, you still had a former MVP. I don't know why you're so willing to let him walk out the door. Maybe that there was nobody out there who was willing to make a trade, which is why it came to this point, which is why he's probably going to eventually be released. So that to me is kind of surprising. It'll be interesting to see too where he ends up. And really the biggest wild card for me is, what do the Patriots do?
I was going to ask you that.
Right? Because you still have Andy Dalton's available, Nick Foles is available, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston is going to be out there. Jameis Winston, 26 years old, and I understand. He threw 30 interceptions last year. He's still 26 years old. Yep. He threw for 5,000 yards. So I think the move for Bill Belichick, the boss move, is just to stick with Jarrett Stidham and be like, you know what? If I go out and win with this guy, there is no denying that I am the greatest sports coach, manager / whatever of all time.
I don't even think Belichick, though, could decipher what Cam Newton's typing up on Instagram. How the hell do you read that font, man? Like, that must be tough for football reporters right now to be like, what are we deciphering here?
What are we looking at? I have no idea. I was more impressed. I was jealous. I'm like, how does Cam do that? Like sometimes you're on social media, like, how did somebody make that happen? Like, what can't Cam do? Like, listen, I'm a huge Cam Newton fan. I think that he can still play football in this league. But now he's added an extra element to his game. I'm like, this guy's amazing. Like, there's nothing he can't do.
Adam Rank of the NFL Network. We appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.